And on behalf of all Americans, thank you for getting rid of that ridiculous red card. It was spectacular. There was a reason the FIFA trophy sat here for as long as it did.
It's Tuesday, July 7th, 2026, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. Progress Texas amplifies progressive values, leaders, and actions. Through our no paywall podcasts and digital media, we make Texas politics easy to understand and to participate in, and your support for fact-based independent media hands the mic to millions of Texas. Thanks huge to Patricia Smothers, Scott Lyford, and Chuck Cruz for their ongoing sustaining support. We appreciate it so much. For those of you looking for an explanation, any explanation, for that embarrassing soccer game last night, look no further than Texas Senator Ted Cruz. For years, sports fans in Texas have lamented what they call the Cruz curse, the notorious sports jinx in which Ted's attendance at an important game or public alignment with the beloved Texas team triggers an embarrassing loss or collapse. Well, last night, we may have seen the Cruz curse go global. Prior to last night's disastrous last 16 World Cup performance by the United States falling to Belgium 4-1, the Associated Press reports that Senator Ted Cruz said the quiet part out loud in an Oval Office appearance, publicly thanking Donald Trump to his face for intervening with FIFA to overturn a one-game red card suspension for American soccer player Folarin Balogun, clearing the way for him to play last night. The AP has posted video of Cruz, which we heard at the top, commending Trump's interference during a joint appearance with the president, calling the original penalty ridiculous, and framing his own gratitude as expressed on behalf of all Americans. Not only a wide-open invitation for a deep dish of bad juju served up ice cold, Cruz's statement reveals an astonishing level of detachment from basic ethical principles. Top-level Republicans have lost their perspective on how the rest of the world views their systematic thumbing of the scales. By injecting his toxic brand into the national soccer squad, Ted Cruz has told the world that America believes it's okay to cheat, profoundly worsening already damaged international attitudes towards the United States. Trump's arm twisting of an independent sports governing body, followed by Ted Cruz's open admission and celebration of that manipulation to American advantage, can only be seen as a glaring display of how American exceptionalism easily veers into American entitlement, confirming for the entire world that the U.S. expects to obey its own unique set of rules, written for its own benefit, leaving all Americans, not just Republicans or MAGA types, but all Americans, looking profoundly unserious and deeply arrogant to the rest of the world's nations. Ted Cruz reveals the true attitudes of the so-called law and order party. While everyday Texans expect the rewards of hard work, dedication, and fair competition, Republicans openly celebrate the leveraging of elite political privilege to bypass that competition. Like Grandma used to say, karma is a bitch. Back to Texas, where the scourge of AI data centers has become central to the midterm election conversation, including a startling 180 from Governor Greg Abbott, whose years and years of open-door policy for the corporate exploitation of Texas paved the way for that problem, which, it turns out, might just be too far gone to stop. Michael Shapiro at the Houston Chronicle says that Abbott's recent anti-data center rhetoric amounts to empty political messaging because he has thus far failed to call a special legislative session in time to put the brakes on what's known as Batch Zero, a cute code name for that newly approved regulatory fast-track process we've talked about that allows a massive pre-qualified group of data center projects to bypass individual vetting and move through the grid interconnection approval process together as a single wave. Mike Lee at Politico adds that because these Batch Zero projects will be finalized in just the next few months, constitutional bans on retroactive lawmaking mean they will be grandfathered in under loose regulations. And despite the governor's newfound drive to protect rural Texans from the massive impact of data centers, those same everyday Texas ratepayers, absent an emergency intervention by the legislature, will inevitably bear both the financial and environmental costs of big tech's unchecked expansion across Texas. Governor Abbott will call multiple special sessions to hammer through stuff like private school vouchers and Trump-ordered congressional redistricting and draconian abortion bans and the incredibly stupid bathroom bill. But even as he reverses himself on parasitic data centers, he's actually actively allowing them to entrench themselves. The next regular session in January of 2027 will be too little too late. For me, the most memorable images coming out of Donald Trump's enormous failure of a 250th birthday party for the country in D.C. over last weekend were those of crowds of masked cowards carrying Confederate flags and looking like a bunch of Office Space rejects in their matching khakis. And you'll perhaps not be surprised to learn that most of those clowns came from Texas. Juliana Duenas-Russ at the Austin American-Statesman says that Patriot Front, founded and based in Grapevine, has quietly grown into the most visible white supremacist group in the United States. It was formed after a splinter neo-Nazi group following the deadly 2017 Charlottesville rally underwent an internal coup and is known for its packaging of violent fascist rhetoric beneath the thin facade of America First mainstream red, white, and blue patriotic Americana imagery. Stephanie Coython at the San Antonio Current writes that the group generally avoids explicit neo-Nazi language in public, opting instead for carefully choreographed flash demonstrations designed to generate propaganda videos and recruitment material. But their specific stated mission is to dismantle American multiculturalism and force the creation of an all-white ethno-state. The Anti-Defamation League and other watchdogs say Patriot Front, again operating from Texas, is now directly responsible for the majority of white supremacist propaganda distributions across the nation, heavily targeting college campuses for recruitment. And they're not just talking the talk. Paul Livengood at WFAA in Dallas adds that Patriot Front is connected to a growing list of violent action plots, including the 2022 incident in which 31 of their members were arrested wearing riot gear inside a U-Haul truck near an Idaho Pride event. If you found those masked goons on the 4th of July deplorable, you're sure not alone, but also bear in mind that Patriot Front is a specific export of the Lone Star State and are now active representatives of Texas to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. Finally, y'all, and speaking of North Texas, one recurring theme at the recent state Democratic Party convention in Corpus Christi was the importance of Fort Worth and Tarrant County to the future political prospects of Texas, and Michelle Davis at Lone Star Left has a nice analysis of that idea out today. Michelle says that while blue strongholds like Dallas and Harris counties remain vitally prominent, she believes that Tarrant County has established a position as the premier political battleground of the state. Once the nation's largest red county, Tarrant now holds nearly 8% of all Texas Democratic voters, and that shift has motivated the entrenched Republican establishment to abandon any pretense of actual competent governance and pivot to desperate survival tactics, including but not limited to aggressive mid-decade gerrymandering to prop up their fading prospects. At the center of the Tarrant GOP's decline is County Judge Tim O'Hare, known for his longtime and very public feud with Democratic Commissioner and now nominee for County Judge Elisa Simmons. And in the background of the Tarrant County struggle is the increasingly lethal Tarrant County Jail, where over 70 people have died in custody under right-wing Sheriff Bill Wayborn, including Anthony Johnson Jr., whose death by asphyxiation in that facility has led to murder indictments against 2 jailers. Despite attempts at suppression, Tarrant Democrats are on a massive winning streak, flipping local school boards and city councils, but perhaps most notably demonstrated via the win of Democrat Taylor Ramette last year, flipping a state Senate seat held by Republicans since 1991 by 14 points in a district Donald Trump had just carried by 17 points. The Tarrant Blue Wave is being driven by massive mobilization among Hispanic voters, and several Republican-held state House seats across the area are in play this November. Elisa Simmons' run for county judge is the new main event in Tarrant County, and the popcorn is smelling great. Must read in Lone Star Left for you Cowtown types. See the link in the show notes. We invite you to our website, ProgressTexas.org, and our web store, waiting for you to snag the merch to match your progressive values. We're talking newly released Humans Against Abbott, Y'all Means All, and Resist, shirts, stickers, buttons, and more. Hit the web store at ProgressTexas.org to support your favorite podcast network today. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Tuesday, July 7th, 2026. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. When lies in Texas are well funded by the far right, your support for fact-based reporting is needed and appreciated. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks for listening and have a great day. We'll catch you again right here tomorrow morning.